Okay. Need for EDP. Why we require EDP, Entrepreneurship Development Program. So builds confidence in people, gives guidelines to the young, gives technical assistance, management, training consultancy, how a particular organization needs to be managed, and how the different aspects of the organization and the management should be taken care. Then channelizes them to accelerate industrialization. It is helpful in the growth of small scale section. So the government body, as I told you, DIC, they conduct every I have seen every 3 to 6 months there will be batch of entrepreneurs, and they will be conducting 5 to 6 days of entrepreneurship program on different sectors. So sometimes it would be on the they choose the potential sector food processing. That is a one sector. Food, based on food processing related, whatever is related, they just package it and give the training. And let us say if it is on manufacturing, that would be a different area. If it is based on like a textile related, that would be, because we have entrepreneurs who are interested in different types of industries. So according to that, they will set up the training programs. So in that way, more people will be trained, and we can expect a lot of people among them will turn out as entrepreneur, and they will set up their small scale industry, which will generate employment. That is how, like government, um, uh, 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 all these policies, all this training are meant to make sure that there is a constant increase in the small scale industry. We'll see how the small scale industry will support the nation, how it will help with the unemployment problem, and how it will help with increasing the per capita income. All those things will happen with the successful small scale industries. Of course, large scale industries are required. Small scale industries, the reason for small scale industries boost is it is like the capital requirement and other requirement, human resources, other requirements are relatively small, and it can be set up relatively quicker compared to the large scale industry. We do need large scale industry, but small scale industry can be set up easily. And young entrepreneurs, they will run those industries successfully, and they will generate a lot of employment. If the number of small scale industries keep on growing, the amount of employment that people will get, it will keep on increasing. So that is the intention why there is so much stress is given on MSME, micro, small, medium enterprises. That is a there is separate ministries there which works on MSME industries, how to encourage them, how to provide them with different facilities, things like that. So there is separate ministry under Government of India which will take care of all these activities. So talking about the entrepreneurship in India, similar to other countries, like uh, our entrepreneurship, our related to India, it has a history even before the independence. Before the independence, we had lot of handicraft businesses. We used to call them as a cottage industry. They were in the different sector. So handicrafts, making articles based on the metal, and also we had lot of industries based on the textile, silk. Like India was well known for silk production, and there were a lot of looms, handlooms were there, which helped with the textile industry. And uh, uh, the uh, the industrialization, even before the actual industrialization, this cottage industry supported the economy, and all these entrepreneurs, they contributed in terms of their new ideas. They used to come up with the new ideas, they build those. That is how they created the need. That is how, like, before the independence, it was in all the sectors. Like, it was in agriculture, of course it was there. uh, as a Agriculture was always been the a sector which provides the largest employment. So small scale industry comes the next. The largest employment provider still in India is the agriculture sector. Agriculture sector gives a lot of employment, and next comes is the small scale industries. Entrepreneurship is regarded as a closely associated with the economic history of India. Okay, so always India historically, even from the era where India was ruled by kings, and there were many provinces, they understood the importance of the entrepreneurship, and there was always encouragement for that. This is traced way back even as early as Rig Veda, when metal handicrafts, manufacturing, cottage, and small enterprise existed in the countries. Even if we trace back to the Rig Veda, there is the evidences that there were a small scale industry, cottage industries existed during that time. It has passed through several ups and downs. So our uh, industrialization has gone through many ups and downs with the many invasions. It keep on changing. It got influenced by the different kinds of invasions that we had. Important one include the decline of Indian handicrafts industry towards the end of 18th century, entry of East India Company in India's business activities. So one thing what we noticed was handicrafts industry. It gradually it went down with the entry of the East India Company and their business activities in India. One example was like handlooms. Handlooms, they used to use handlooms. Those things got replaced with the power looms. The advantage with the power looms was the amount of the products you can develop is relatively high compared to the handlooms. So productivity increased, the yield increased. So that is how, like, slowly Indian handcraft industry, it started declining. The Swadeshi campaign, and if you see, like, there were different phases that our small scale industry in the early British era it went through. There were Swadeshi campaign for Indian manufactured goods. Then there was a First World War, uh, emergence of the Indian managing agency system by promoting joint stock companies. So this was the when joint stock companies were encouraged. They started using machineries. New ways of production started coming in. Systems by promoting joint companies. That is how it had a lot of impact. Then there was Second World War, and then the partition of India, then undertaking planned development entrepreneurship in the country by government of India after independence, that is 1947. So the government of India, after the independent, it started undertaking the a planned development of the entrepreneurship. Indian, they always believed in the entrepreneurship for the economic development. As soon as India got the independence, they started working on that particular area. They started putting in policy so that there can be a planned way of bringing out a lot of entrepreneurs. For the purpose of encouraging entrepreneurship, the Government of India brought out the first industrial policy resolution in 1948, which is subsequently revised from time to time. The first industrial policy resolution, it came in 1948. Okay, that is when the we had the first policy, and from that time onwards, as and required, it got updated from time to time. And later, like, a lot of changes from compared to what industrial policy that was proposed in 1940 to what we have in today's. There are a lot of evolutions that happened according to the changes in the environment. Government of India, in order to promote and assist and develop industries in the national interest, has taken the following three important resolutions in the industrial resolutions. So these are the three important resolutions that were taken to maintain a proper distribution of economic power between private and the public sector. So first thing is like the between the private and the public sector, there should be a proper distribution of the economic power. Like how much should be, what should be privatized, and what should be in the public sector. And if you see in from government to government, you can see like a lot of sectors which are in the public, as per the need of the hour, they started slowly moving the public sectors into the private domain. Public sector companies are the ones which are set up with the investment from the public in terms of the shareholding, right? Those are the public sector companies, and the private companies are completely, it is owned by the individuals. Okay, there is no stake of the public in those companies. Those are the private companies. So how much distribution should be there? So government, uh, as per the time, it will decide, as per the need also, it will decide which sector should be open to the private and which sector should be under the public sector. If you see in India, like all the sector, all the industries that are related into the defense of the country, they are in public sector, like where government can have greater control, and whichever which helps with the rapid industrialization, which helps with the economical development, that are moved into the private sector. For example, IT industry, you can say it is completely under the private sector. Even though there are some government agencies are there, public agencies are there, but predominantly that IT sector is taken care by the private sector. So similarly, there are other industries, Bharat Electronics, okay, BHML. There are space, okay, ISRO. ISRO is the space in India, at least as of now, it is under completely under the public sector. It is not open for the private. So that distribution, how that distribution has to be made, it is decided under that policy, and as per the needs of the time. As the need changes, certain things will get changed. Some of the things which are in public sector which are not performing well, government might decide it to sell it to the private sector. To encourage rapid industrialization by moving the concept of entrepreneurship from existing centers to other cities, towns, and rural areas. The other important factor of industrial resolution is, first is to there should be an rapid increase in the industrialization. That is the most important thing, and government always supports that. And it will try to move the existing entrepreneurship centers from, not only from the centers where it is flourishing well, it should be moved to every city, like not only major cities, it should be moved to the every small cities, every small towns, and even to the rural sector, so that we get entrepreneurs at all the levels. To disseminate the entrepreneurship acumen concentrated in few dominant communities to a large number of industrially potential people of varied social background. So another important thing is that entrepreneurship, that acumen, if we see, it is in some community, it is there predominantly. That community has that acumen of doing the business. Okay, so we largely understand some communities from Gujarat, Rajasthan. They are potentially, they are totally dedicated into the entrepreneurship area. what government is trying to do is to increase that awareness of entrepreneurship among other communities and with a different social background. The reason for doing that is when you have different social backgrounds and different kinds of a community, the kinds of uh, ideas generated by the different thought process would be different. So it will help in making the small scale industry, increase the small scale industry. Like we can make the numbers very rapidly, we can increase those numbers if we involve the communities which are not aware but they have the potential to do it. To achieve these objectives, the government accorded emphasis on the development of small scale industries in the country. So, to achieve all these objectives, whatever the objectives we saw, like proper distribution of economic power between private and public, then to achieve the rapid industrialization, and also to involve all the potential people in entrepreneurship, um, government, they put a lot of emphasis on the developing the small scale industries. So small scale industry, it caters everybody. Suppose if certain community they are good in the textile industry, it will help them. Some are good in making spare parts, foundry, other small scale industries. So it will have a policies which will help the all the sectors and all kinds of people. Since the third 5-year plan, the government announced various incentives, concessions in the form of capital, technical know-how, reservation of certain items for exclusive manufacture in small scale sector, tax concessions, then provisions of infrastructural facilities like developed land, sheds, roads, communication, etc., for promotion of enterprises in the country. So if you see in the third 5-year plan, the government announced various incentives and concessions. Basically, these incentives and concessions are given to given to attract the entrepreneurs. So what are these forms? How these incentives and concessions were given in terms of the capital, helping with the capital, whatever the capital requirement is there to start the enterprise, helping in that, like giving the capital at the reduced rate of interest, or giving some part of the capital as a subsidy. There are a lot of ways it can be given. That is the one important thing. Technical know-how, how things can be done. One example is the EDP, where people will be trained in a certain areas. They will be given with a how the things will be done in that particular area. That is technical know-how, giving the technical know-how how it can be, things can be done. Then reservation of certain items for exclusive manufacture in small scale sector. So this is one area. What happens is they reserve certain items, they make it as exclusive. Those items, there will be large incentives for that. How these items are identified? These are the items. Maybe India is heavily dependent on the importing from other countries, which increases the dependency of India on other countries. What they will do is, rather than importing, they will try to create a industry which will produce them indigenously inside the India. They will produce, they will include such items, and they will give lot of concession rebates for that. So people will be encouraged, because if they select such kind of items, their margin, profit margin would be very very high. So government from time to time, it keep on updating that list. What are those items? It will have inclusions, it will have exclusions. Let us say with all these government policies in certain area, let us say India is heavily importing some kind of a electronic devices. Okay, let us say transistors, certain kind of a transistors, then those items will be included. When the small scale industry increases its scale in producing that transistor, then India, when it reaches the self sufficiency, then maybe that item will be moved out. Okay, and if there is a need for another item, that will be brought in. That is how government will try to come up with that particular reservation of the list. Then tax concessions. If so government, what it will do, it will give a tax rebate for certain years. Let's say from the day of start of the enterprise, maybe for 3 years or 5 years, they will give the a tax concession, so that they will not have that particular burden of the tax. It will help that particular enterprise in succeeding, and in 2 to 5 years, when it is fully set up, when it is functional, then they will start taking the taxes on that particular enterprise. Provision of infrastructural facilities, okay, like a developed land. So this is another way of helping, providing the infrastructure. What is mean by the infrastructure is, for setting up the enterprise, we need a land, right? If that particular land is developed, and developed by the government, developed in the sense, there will be proper layout, proper roads inside, water facilities, electricity, so that entrepreneur need not worry on those things, right? Entrepreneur comes, he uses that land, he constructs, okay, and electricity, he doesn't have to worry about that. It is readily available there. So he's some of the problems of setup is taken care by the government, so it will help in that way. One is the developed land, the second one is sheds. So fully functional sheds will be there, which is ready, completely ready, where entrepreneur can go and start. Roads, communications, like if there is a need for the internet connection, telephone connection, all those communication requirement, uh, those will be taken care as a infrastructure development by the government. And a fully developed sheds or the lands will be given to the entrepreneur, where he will like he doesn't have to go through all the burden. And then he can start his enterprise as early as possible. So these are the things that are done for the promotion of the enterprises in the country. So this is how government helps the entrepreneurs to set up the small scale industry. This has helped in a speedy economic development in all states in the country, and to a great extent has minimized the regional imbalances. So this particular policy is helping the kind of policies that government giving concessions and rebates. It is helping in the rapid growth of the industries, and also it is if you see the region wise, because they are reaching out to all the cities, including the rural sector, there is not a economic imbalance, right? To a greater extent, some of the major cities, they have large industries, that is true, but they are trying to move it to the next level of the cities, and also they are promoting in small cities and rural areas where entrepreneurs can come up. National Commission Minimum Program (NCMP) describes small-scale industries as the most employment-intensive segment. Okay, so this particular program, it identifies as the small-scale industry is the most producer of the employment. So it is an employment in intensive segment. At the beginning of the 10th plan, that is during 2002 to 2003, the segment, that is the small scale segment, provided a gainful employment of 24.9 million. So you can see, imagine 24.9 million people are getting jobs just only in the small scale segment. Okay, and million people in the rural and urban areas of the country through 10.5 million units. So uh, by that time, okay, around 2002 to 3, there were like a 10.5 million small scale units were there, which were engaged in the different manufacturing and other activities. So these are engaged in manufacturing and providing a wide range of goods and services. So 10.5 million units providing about 24.9 million jobs. If the units in Khadi village industries are also taken into account, the employment would rise to 332 million. So if we consider the khadi village industry, so whatever related to the khadi, that is a cotton, if you consider that also, that number would increase to 332 million. So lot of industries are there based on the khadi related to cotton. There are many industries, and it gives a employment to 332 million people. Thus, this is rightly called the as the segment which provides the employment next only to the agriculture. As I told you, agriculture is the number one sector where we have the largest number of employment opportunities. The next comes is the small scale. Even though we have large scale, the amount of jobs that is given by them is relatively less compared to the small scale industries. The contribution of small scale enterprises segments to the economic development of the country is very significant. Nearly 39% of the gross manufacturing output. Okay, so whatever the gross manufacturing output we have, 39% comes from the small scale segment, and 34% of the exports of India arise from these enterprises. So 34% of all the exports that is happening, that is going from the small scale industry. Yet a large number of entrepreneurs are facing lots of challenges. In order to assist them fully harness their potential by availing of the increasing opportunities generated by the trade liberalization, it is necessary to not only build an enabling policy environment but also supplement the former with a specific set of measures to address the continuing challenges. So what it says is like we have the existing policies, and with those existing policies we have a lot of challenges. Whenever there is a trade liberalization, what is trade liberalization is a certain sector is opened to the private sector. For example, now if you say railway was predominantly it was government, but now they are allowing certain sectors where the private operators can operate. Whenever there such enabling happens, along with that enabling, whatever is the existing policies are there, it should be supplemented with additional things which will help the whatever the challenges that is faced by the existing enterprises. Therefore, Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, that is MSME, Government of India has announced a package for promoting such enterprises in Feb 2007 to provide full support in the areas of credit, technological upgradation, marketing, infrastructural upgradation in major industrial infrastructure. So, with seeing this to supplement the policies, they came up with a package which will help with the providing a credit or technological upgradation, infrastructure upgradation, helping with the marketing. They came up with some of the packages in 2007. Okay, so that is how the entrepreneurship was in India and is still growing, and main focus of the government is on the small scale sector. Now, next one is the identification of the opportunity. So, opportunity is the starting point of an enterprise. So, the any big organization or any small organization starts with an the opportunity or the idea, and it is realized into a big enterprise or a small scale unit. So, this particular chapter will look in the next session.